Why is it that every time a celebrity loses weight, the first thing people say is Ozempic? It's become one of the most predictable reactions to a person transforming their overall shape. And what I've noticed is that before anybody asks what has changed, they've already decided how it was done. And deciding a shortcut was taken isn't a neutral guess, but it's a subtle accusation that isn't deserved. Because people don't just question how weight loss happened, they question whether it even counts. People start with baseless assumptions with no evidence, and the assumption is almost always that a person took the easy way because when it comes to famous people, the public has decided that fame, money, and access automatically means somebody skipped the hard work. The problem with that logic is that having access to something is not the same as using it. A celebrity having the money for a private chef, a trainer, and every medication under the sun doesn't tell you which of those things actually got them the results. But people treat a celebrity's access to resources like it's proof the resources have been used. And subscribe right now while I get into this. When people assume a shortcut, they're not just explaining how the weight came off, they're deciding whether the result deserves any respect. If they conclude that person cheated their way there, they get to mentally downgrade the whole thing, which means that person doesn't get the admiration that would normally come with that kind of transformation. So the accusation does double work. It explains the result and it strips the credit at the same time. Celebrities catch this more than regular people because there's this belief that they don't earn anything the way the everyday person does. Elite trainers, private chefs, surgeons on speed dial, concierge doctors, any prescription they want. Because all of that exists in their world, people assume every transformation had to come from one of those things. And the idea that a famous person simply locked in and got disciplined ends up being the very last explanation anybody considers. Look at Megan Thee Stallion. She got noticeably leaner while keeping visible muscle, and she posts the workouts. You can see the strength in her build, and her whole performance style demands that kind of athleticism. The evidence of the work was right there in plain sight, and some people still said Ozempic anyway. This wasn't a situation where nobody knew or saw how she trained. The proof was available, and the Ozempic explanation still came up. Same thing happened with Ice Spice. Different female celeb, exact same pattern. She lost some weight while keeping her curves, and people immediately started saying she looked sick, that she was on Ozempic, and that she was starving herself. And what gets me is how entitled people felt to an explanation in the first place. This is a woman they don't know, whose body has nothing to do with them, and they acted like they were owed a full breakdown of why it changed. And what I find really disappointing and even discouraging is when it comes to people who work really hard to change or improve things about themselves that increases self-esteem and happiness, other people will constantly say, "Oh, the before picture looks better." Granted, people have their own preferences of what they're attracted to, but please keep in mind that when people decide to lose weight, they're not trying to attract your ass. They're trying to feel good when they look in the mirror. They're trying to be attractive to themselves. They want to be attracted to themselves because they love themselves. That's part of what self-love is. Self-love can include transforming your physical self. So you have people that want to praise the bigger body, but low-key, I don't think it's just about the person just look better, bigger. Nah, it's about the fact that you feel like your back is big, you are white as all outdoors, and you want everybody else to be big right along with you. Because why else are you so judgmental that this woman lost weight? And you know what? I'm going to touch on something real quick when it comes to men saying stuff like this as well. Ladies, please don't take it as a compliment because when it comes to them, all they think about is sex. They're imagining having sex with you and imagining what sex with you would be like. So they want you to have extra fat and a big old behind and some extra thick thighs because they're imagining what it would be like to have sex with a person that has all those curves and all the cushion that comes with the curves. So it's never flattering when a man says, "Oh, you look better before." Yeah, I bet I do look better in your eyes because all y'all ever want to do is hunch on people like some damn dogs. Anyway, let me get back on track. Here's something else to add more perspective on weight loss today. Prime Beyoncé in the early 2000s was one of the most admired physiques of that whole era. Fit, curvy, athletic, strong. Now imagine that exact transformation happening today for the first time. I honestly think today's internet would probably be screaming Ozempic. People are so quick to assume a shortcut instead of respecting the work. Now, let me tell you why this one is personal for me. When I was younger, I joined the dance team. I had to walk further distances while taking public transportation to school. I started eating more salads at school during lunch, and the weight came off naturally as a result. That was the whole formula. And instead of recognizing that I had picked up healthier habits, I got accused of having an eating disorder. My family member jumped straight to something being wrong with me before even considering that I had simply changed some of my habits for the better. So, when I talk about people refusing to credit discipline, I'm not talking about something I only watched happen to celebrities. I've lived it. I talk more about this story on my previous video called The Dark Pipeline Self Exploitation That Produces Dangerous Jealous Mothers. Check that one out after this. And that's the pattern underneath all of this. When people see a dramatic improvement in somebody, a lot of them go looking for an explanation that keeps their view of the world intact. A shortcut, a medication, surgery, luck, privilege, something being secretly wrong. All of those things are easier to accept than the possibility that somebody just consistently changed their habits over time. Because if that's all it takes, then the only thing standing between them and the same result is effort they haven't put in yet. And to be clear, people absolutely use medication for weight loss. And there's nothing wrong with that if you are well informed of risks and side effects. That's not the issue. The issue is assuming a shortcut every single time somebody transforms, because when that becomes the reflex, we don't just misjudge one person. We slowly stop believing that discipline can produce extraordinary results at all. And once a whole culture stops believing effort actually works, that's when people stop trying. And that costs everybody a lot more than a little celebrity gossip. I'm Nisi York, and if you want to see more of this kind of commentary, my channel covers beauty, nutrition, and lifestyle. Drop a comment and tell me, have you ever had your hard work assumed to be a shortcut? Share this, like it, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Take care.